Hey guys, we're back in the studio yet again, and this time we're taking a look at yet another monitor. This is the BenQ EW2880U, and in essence, it's a 28-inch 4K monitor that will pretty much handle anything that you would want to do with it. Which, yes, that statement can be said for almost any other monitor within this category of this class. But this has a slight twist. If you're looking to get a secondary monitor for your MacBook Pro or perhaps the primary monitor for your latest Mac Studio, but you don't want to fork out that amount of cash for the all-new Apple Studio display, this is a very good option to consider, and we'll explain why. So you're looking for a new monitor to pair with your MacBook Pro for your desk setup, or perhaps to pair with your Mac Mini, your all-new Mac Studio, or even a Mac Pro. But the moment you take a look at the Apple Store and look at what options you have, you might be thinking twice, or at least I would reckon that most of us would. Now yes, this isn't a 5K display like that of the Apple Studio display or the LG Ultrafine 5K, but those do cost $1,600 US and $1,300 US respectively. Whereas this BenQ EW2880U costs just about $450 US or about 580 Singapore dollars. That is quite a huge difference and will definitely help with keeping your wallet tight. Now you might be thinking that there has to be a reason why those two other monitors cost so much more compared to this, and you'll be right. But when you actually think about it, do you really need to go with the more expensive monitor? Let's break it down. With the LG Ultrafine 5K, you'll be getting a 27-inch display, it's an IPS panel, the 5K resolution of 5120 by 2880, a max refresh rate of 60Hz, 500 nits max brightness, 10-bit and 99% DCI-P3. With the Apple Studio display, you'll be also getting a 27-inch display, it's also IPS, that same 5K resolution at 60Hz, a slightly higher max brightness of 600 nits and the same 10-bit and DCI-P3 support. In all regards, these two monitors are really similar in performance, with the exception being that the Apple Studio display can hit a higher max brightness, which might be useful in a brightly lit office environment. But now let's take a look at this, the BenQ EW2880U. You are getting a slightly larger 28-inch display, it's also an IPS panel, a slightly lower resolution of 4K at just 3840 by 2160 at 60Hz, a much lower max brightness of 300 nits, the same 10-bit support and just about 90% DCI-P3. So in essence, you'll be losing out on resolution, max brightness and slightly less color coverage. These are the three factors, and it's just but these three factors alone that really make up the bulk of the difference in price. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to pay that much more for just these three factors alone? Now for some of you out there, it might be well within reason. An example would be creatives, where that last 9 to 10% of color coverage might make a huge difference in your professional work. Or perhaps you work in an environment where you can't really control the amount of ambient light and you require that higher max brightness. Those are but just two examples, and there are many more out there, but I dare say that all of us combined, we are but just a minority. For the majority of us, we don't need the best of the best, and keeping our wallets thick is a major concern. For that reason alone, the BenQ EW2880U is honestly worth taking a look at. Now design-wise, it isn't going to win you any awards, and it doesn't quite live up to the clean look which the Apple Studio display provides, that's for sure. And of course, it's primarily a plastic build like most other monitors out there, unlike a metallic build like that of the Apple. Even so, I would say that it looks clean enough and unassuming. It's basically perfect to be placed in a studio, your own desk setup and the likes. The bronze accents also serve to give it a little bit of character to make it stand out ever so slightly. This monitor still looks great, no doubts about that. There's also one advantage that the BenQ will have over Apple, and that's ergonomics. You can adjust the height, swivel, tilt, and if you want even more versatility, you can simply mount it on a VESA monitor arm. With Apple, the stand that comes included only allows for tilt adjustment. If you want height adjustment, you have to fork out even more just to get that. And that's just an additional height adjustment. You don't get any of the other stuff. Apple being Apple, as usual. And then we come to the panel itself, that 28-inch 4K IPS panel that's honestly pretty good, especially if you're coming from a 1080p monitor, a 1440p monitor, or perhaps even from your MacBook Pro itself. 27 or 28-inch is honestly quite the perfect size for a 4K monitor. At a comfortable viewing distance, everything is sharp and just a joy to look at. And despite only covering 90% of the DCI-P3 color space, it is still 90%, You will enjoy all your cinematic content, be it on Netflix, YouTube, or the likes, and it's still going to be plenty fine for most creators out there. And at 28 inches, you can easily multitask with 2 windows split screen side by side. It's honestly really useful, pretty great. The only thing we felt lackluster compared to the other 2 more expensive offerings would be the HDR experience. This monitor can only hit a max brightness of 300 nits, which means it's far from even the basic HDR 400 certification. But you do get BenQ's implementation of HDRi, which makes use of the ambient light sensor to adjust the brightness of the panel to achieve a better HDR image quality. Supposedly, at least. In practice, it definitely still can't live up to the likes of the LG or the Apple, but if you compare to other HDR 400 monitors out there, it's comparable, quite close. But now, let's talk about why this is a great option to choose to pair with your Mac, especially a MacBook Pro. And there are actually 2 main reasons. The first is the inclusion of a USB-C port, which will not only support DisplayPort input and data transfer, but it also supports 60-watt charging as well. With just one cable, you can charge your MacBook Pro relatively well while also enjoying the full use of the monitor itself. The second reason would be the inclusion of a unique M mode. Using the OSD, you can toggle on M mode, and this essentially tunes the colors of the monitor to match that of the MacBook Pro. Now of course, there are still slight visual differences due to the coating of the display, but all in all, we would say they are really similar and it's just really useful, especially if you are a creator. These 2 reasons alone really make it a fantastic monitor to pair with your Mac, and the experience is just really seamless. In addition, you can easily hook up other devices such as your gaming console and other PCs should you want to do so, because there's additional 2 HDMI inputs and a DisplayPort input. Granted, you can definitely do the same with the other 2 monitors as long as you have the right adapter, the USB-C to DisplayPort or HDMI adapter, but this is built in, so arguably it's just far easier. But in the end, the deciding factor really comes down to price. For what you're getting, the BenQ EW2880U is just a really affordable and properly great 4K IPS monitor. If you're in the market looking for a great monitor to complement your Mac, definitely consider this. This is just honestly a great value, and it performs well. It's a great 4K IPS monitor with no frills. That's about it. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. If you'd like to, do check out the affiliate links in the description as well. If you do, thanks for the support. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Till the next one. See ya!